Okay, everyone, welcome. Hello, hello. My name is Ed Sternin, and I represent here BCAA, Brock Coalition Against Antisemitism. It's kind of an organization that emerged relatively recently. A bunch of people, faculty, staff, and graduate students. And this is one of our events. We had a showing of a Nova documentary. Some of you may have been here 20 days ago. And we all had a hard time watching it, but it was essential and necessary. And we didn't have a chance to have a discussion or a Q&A afterwards because it was just too hard. So this is our chance. And we're very fortunate that today we actually have a couple of visitors from afar, and I'll let Perla, who represents Chabad, to introduce them while I'm putting the mics on, okay?
So there are more chairs in the front. If everybody can come and sit on chairs, that would make us all feel a little closer. I think everybody can remember where they were on that morning of October 7th, when they started hearing what was going on. I was in Niagara Falls. I walked into the sukkah of Chabad Niagara, and we had, I walked in probably around like 9 or 10 a.m., and Zan was sitting in the sukkah, and there were some Israelis who had come, and their faces were white, and slowly more people were coming for the Simchat Torah services, completely devastated, just wanting to hug each other. Liel and Shoham, on that morning, were at the Nova Festival. And their day, as much as we had a hard time and we couldn't believe what was happening, they lived what was happening. We are extremely grateful for their courage, bravery, and kindness for coming here to share with us what they went through. And we hope that we can give them back a sense of bearing witness and comfort, knowing that their stories are our stories. We will carry them with us in our hearts forever, and we will remember the victims forever. And October 7th, which has changed the lives of every Jew wherever they are, and has shattered the lives of many of the partygoers of the Nova Festival and the residents of the kibbutzim. Shoham, are you guys ready?
Say something about the next event.
Okay. So, yeah, we hope they have, their story helps them heal, and for all of us to collectively heal as well. We are hosting the BCAA, so I'm co-director of Chabad at Brock, and I'm also a member of the BCAA, the Brock Coalition Against Antisemitism. And next Thursday, one of our last events of the scholastic year, because if you don't know, in Canada, our academic year is pretty much over. So the last event will be on April 4th, and we will have two panelists speaking about this. The panel is called Rising from the Silence. And I don't remember exactly the title. It's something about the silence of the feminists after October 7th. They're going to talk about that. We have Marsha Barber, who's a professor of journalism, who will be speaking. Thank you. Rising from Silence, Feminism and the October 7th Atrocities. And we're going to have Marsha Barber, who is a journalism professor and the author of 4 poetry books. Her research interests include media bias, newsroom diversity, and gender issues. And the other panelist will be Phoebe Mouse-Bovey, She's a senior editor at the Canadian Jewish News and contributor, columnist up for the Globe and Mail. She holds a doctorate in French and French studies from New York University. And they have both been very outspoken about the silence of feminists post-October 7th, and we'll have a discussion with them. If you can attend, it will be on next Thursday between 3 and 5 at the Sankey Chamber. Without further ado, please, I think that they deserve a standing ovation. Shoham and Liel.
Can you hear me? Hey, hey. Okay. Now it's okay? Yes. Okay. So, my name is Shoham Cohen. I'm 20. Before the Nova, I used to do deliveries with my car. I had a kind of truck. So I used to do deliveries with my truck. And I convinced all of my friends to come with me to the Nova Festival because it was a big event, like a big one, like 3,000 or 4,000 people. So I wanted all of them to come with me to have fun together. And we came by 2 a.m. I drove and we had fun for a few hours. And by 6, me and one of my friends were dancing together, barefoot, at the smaller stage. And I wrote in the friends group, come in half an hour, there is sunrise, and I want all of you to come to dance with me together at the main stage. So they didn't come. So me and my friend had to go to the campsite to call them. So we were at the campsite, we brushed our teeth, and then 6:30, we started to see rockets at the sky. So because we are from Ashdod, so we knew that they're gonna shut down the party. So after 2 minutes, they shut down the party. The DJ told us to leave the area, so we just packed all of our stuff and left. It took us about 10-15 minutes to leave, and I started to take pictures of the rockets in the sky. And we went to my car at the parking lot, and my friends decided to sit near my car and wait because 3,000-4,000 people just running and screaming, crying, laying on the ground because there were no alarms, just rockets from Gaza, and we saw the rockets and we heard the booms one after one. So people just got panic and they ran, they screamed, they lay down, and they just hoped that the rockets will not land on them. So I decided to go to help other people because everyone just panicked. So I helped other people for about an hour, and people were, some of them just put music in the car and just danced behind it. So hour later, my friends called me and they told me, you have to come now, we have to go. It was 7:50, 7:45. So I went to the car and I drove to the line, to the traffic line, and waited. And at this time, I could hear someone talking in her phone, telling her friend that someone just got shot at the entrance. And at this moment, it was me and one of my friends in the car. So we saw 200 people running from this direction, from the entrance. So we just left the car, I locked it, and we ran with them. After 5 minutes, nothing happened, so we went back to the car. And I decided I can't just wait here to someone to come to shut me. So I just drove and I skipped the traffic, and I got to the main road. And there was a police car at the road, and they just directed people to the fields to avoid the terrorists that came from the main road. And at this moment, they stopped directing people, and they told everyone, just leave the car and run. So I left the car, me and my friend. I locked it again. And at this moment, the terrorist came on a truck and started to spray everyone. They located some snipers behind the trees. So while I'm running, I could hear snipers just sniping people. And at this moment, just everyone ran in one line for their lives. I could hear, see, and feel the scare. So I saw a lot of people just falling, screaming, and murdered in this area. And me and my friend kept running back to the party area, and we skipped it to the other side. So from the other side, we could hear shooting either. So we knew that we were surrounded. So we ran back to the party area and we searched for a place to hide. And I remember that in front of me there were the yellow restrooms, and they were too far, like 40, 50 meters from me. So I decided not to go there. At the left side, I saw a bunch of people just hiding from all of the direction of a truck. So I decided not to join them because they were visible. And in the right side, I saw a tent. So I thought, oh, a tent is a good place to hide. So I went to the tent and I waited for 10 minutes. It was so hot inside, I started to sweat. Then my friend called me, he told me, come now to under the stage to hide with me. And I went there, there was other 30 people under the stage, just laying on the ground. So I went there, I was the last one to join them. So I laid just on the entrance, and I took a piece of plastic, and I thought that this piece of plastic will save me if some terrorists come and start to spray me. So we just lay there for 30, 40 minutes. At this time, everyone started to call me, where are you? So I declined all of the calls because I knew that we are surrounded and I didn't want the terrorists to hear me. So after 40 minutes, someone just coming to us, and he looked at me and he told me, go now, they are coming. So I just threw the piece of plastic that I had and started to run to the woods. I was the leader of the running, and all of the people just ran after me. And I ran for a mile and a half. Then I arrived to the top of a hill. And when I'm on the top of the hill, I see all around me just open fields. So I knew that if we are continuing to run, so everyone just can see us, and we're just like sheep. So I decided to get off the hill, and it was kind of a low place, so we could see all around us with some trees, naked trees, so we just hid behind them. So once in a while, we saw bullets hitting the ground or one of the trees. And the shooting was non-stop. There were, I can't remember a second that we couldn't hear someone shooting, or rockets, or smoke from the trees, or grenades. So we hid behind the trees for a few hours. We tried to call the police, and we tried to share our location, but the connection was down. So it took us about 2 hours to finally share our location. After we shared it finally, they told us the police are 5 kilometers from us. And in these 5 kilometers, there were a lot of terrorists. So we knew that we have a lot of time there. And after a couple of hours, someone just went to search for a place to run. And when he came back, he told us there are bodies just laying on the hill. So he called us to help him to grab the bodies. So few people went. I couldn't because I'm Cohen, so I can't just touch bodies. And they went to grab the bodies. They put them just near us. And after another couple of hours, something around 20, 30 Gazan civilians came to us with their bare hands, and they tried to rob us. They surrounded us, and they started to yell things in Arabic, like, "Come, we will rob you, we will kill you, ta'al, ta'al." So all of the people that I've been with just took a lot of sticks and rocks and were ready to fight them. So most of them just left us alone to the party area and to the parking lot to rob other things. And few of them just sat on the hill and watched us. So we were afraid that they will tell the terrorists with actual weapons where we are. So we waited and kept hearing a lot of shooting and a lot of rockets. So we thought that maybe there is a fight between the IDF and the terrorists. But all we could hear is our friends dying one by one. And by time 1:30, we heard a lot of screaming and shouts in Arabic from the party area. So we thought that it's the Gazan civilians that tried to rob us before. And we saw someone who dressed like a ninja, like all black with black mask. And we started a discussion. He's a Jew, he's a terrorist, he's an IDF, he wants to hide with us. And 3 seconds later, I heard the loudest noise I heard in my life. He launched an RPG at us, and it landed just a few meters from us. So all I could hear, it was like, tee. So I saw the area that it landed and started to run on the hill that I ran on it before. And we had to run on the open fields. We ran for like 10, 15 minutes while the terrorists spraying us with their Kalashnikovs. Some people got shot in their legs or their back, but they kept running. After 15 minutes, we got to a wadi. It was 2 to 3 meters under the ground, so we could get a place to hide again. So I just sat there, and everyone just looked at me, like, "What's you doing? You have to keep going." And at this moment, the group that we were hiding together split into 2 groups. One went left into the wadi, and the other group went right to the Gaza direction. And while we keeping going to the 232 road, left into the valley. At some point, it was blocked by a few trees and rocks. So I looked back to the other side and I thought maybe I should go with the other group. And someone just told me, no, go, you have to keep going. So 2 months ago, I was told that all the people that went to the other side, all of them just kidnapped and murdered at the same day. So I'm very thankful for the guy who told me, no, you have to keep going this way. After another 5 minutes that we are going into the Wadi, we arrived to a place with a lot of nice trees, with actual leaves on them, because the other trees were naked. Because I remember that I thought maybe to climb on one of the trees, but I saw no leaves, so I decided to stay on the ground. So we got to a nice place with a lot of trees and bushes, so we lay down. And after 5 minutes, we saw a police officer and 2 soldiers with Kalashnikovs. So we thought that they are 100% terrorists. And they told us, relax. We thought that they are terrorists because only terrorists using Kalashnikovs. And 2 hours before this, I was told by uncle of one of my friends that the terrorists occupied all of the kibbutzim and they kidnapped a lot of police officers and soldiers so they could just pretend they are officers and soldiers. So they told us, relax, and ran to us with your hands in the air and scream your names one by one. So we ran toward them with our hands in the air. They checked that we have no bombs on us, and they took us back to the road to a place that there was a tank there with other 70 survivors, with a bunch of officers and soldiers, and a few terrorists with handcuffs. So we waited and waited, and we told the soldiers to shoot and kill the terrorists, because why would you want them alive? And they told us, we have no ammo and we have to investigate them. So we waited and waited, and they gave us water because we were so thirsty. And after 40 minutes, a line of IDF trucks came to us. The soldiers came to fight the rest of the terrorists that still was in this area. And a few trucks took all the survivors to the entrance of Ofakim. At the entrance, there wasn't a checkpoint because in the middle of Ofakim, it was still a battlefield. The terrorists they kidnapped a few officers, and they just did a lot of terror in the police station. And at the end, they just burned it, all the station. So they dropped us at the entrance to Ofakim. And we waited a couple of minutes. Then the uncle of my friend is officer, so he waited there and he took us back to Ashdod. I came home by 4:30. And all I wanted to do is to sleep because it was a long day. And my mom came by 8 and she just hugged me while I'm sleeping. And that's it. It took like 2 months later to realize all the things that happened the same day. And at these 2 months, I had a lot of thoughts why I'm still alive and all my friends died. And maybe I could do something else to help my friends that died. And after 2 months, I decided to quit, to stop thinking these horrible thoughts, And I realized that what had to happen, it was all from God, and God decided it. And before the Nova, I wasn't religious and wasn't a believing person at all. And now I believe that God did what he did. And and now I'm here. I found a purpose and mission to my life. And my mission is to tell the world my story and to spread light to the world, because the evil terrorists tried to shut us down with their darkness. And we have to spread the light, because we will win with love and light and not with hate like they're doing. Thank you.
Yes? Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Liel. I'm 20. I live in Ashkelon. It's the most faraway city in Israel. I will start with saying a few words about the Nova community. The Nova Festival, it wasn't just like a one-day party. We are literally a tribe. We're all like a big one family. So mostly everybody knows each other. Everybody is like gathering every week or every month to party together, to spread love, to hug each other, to dance barefoot. It's a community of really free love. So I came to the Nova Festival with two of my friends, Dor and Gilad. They worked there, they had a massage stand, and so we came really early at Friday evening. So at 6:25 in the morning, I was still dancing in the main stage. The whole party, all the night was amazing. The music was amazing. The environment was truly amazing. People just wanted to celebrate their lives out there. Nobody was fighting. There was no hate. So at 6:25, I needed to grab something from my bag, so I came back to the massage stand with my friend Amit. So while I'm searching my bag for what I needed, my friend Amit telling me, wow, this year they really put much effort. There is even fireworks. And because I live in Ashkelon, Ashkelon is the most fired city in Israel, I just looked at the sky and I told her, it's not rockets, it's not fireworks, it's rockets. After a few minutes, the DJ shut down the party, told everybody to evacuate immediately. So because I'm living my whole life under a rocket attack, so at first I was like, okay, 10 minutes, it will be over, the music will come back. I told all of my friends, don't go anywhere. It's like just the people who sucks going now, they don't know nothing. Like just stay 10 minutes, it will be over, the party will continue. So we stayed at the party area. People were like really panicking because not everybody is used to rockets like me. And it was like really chaotic. Everybody was running, everybody was crying and screaming. People were just laying on the floor, holding their heads because we had no shelter. And because we were so close to the border, we had no sirens. It just exploded everywhere without any alert, without any siren. So because we had the massage stand, it took us a while to flee all our stuff and get them together to the Jeep. So we did it really slowly. It took us like an hour. And 7:20, I think, we started to hear a lot of gunfires. And we thought, okay, maybe because we're so close to the border, what we're hearing is like 1 or 2 terrorists that are trying to cross the border, and what we're hearing is the IDF shooting them. After a few minutes, we heard the gunfires getting closer and closer to us. And 7:45, my friend Sheker is calling us and telling us, listen guys, I don't want to stress you, but there is a lot of Hamas terrorists in Sderot. They're shooting RPGs at houses, they're shooting people, they're just shooting everybody, and all the area you're in it right now is full of terrorists. So don't get out of the party area. So at first we thought he was messing with us. You know, it's like a rave, most of the people are high. So we thought he's messing with us, and he told us that he's not messing with us and we need to take care right now. And we thought, okay, we have the security and we have the police and they're like really close to us, so we need to stay in the party area and don't go to anywhere. So at 8 and 11 minutes, we're hearing like really all the shooting really close to us. We brought our Jeep so it will be close to us in the party area. And I'm hearing a really big explosion. And I'm turning my head and I see hundreds of people just running and hundreds of Hamas terrorists chasing them and just shooting them all. A lot of people that I danced with them a few hours before was just getting shot in front of my eyes. They didn't just shoot people. The people who was already dead and were laying on the ground, they made sure that everybody is dead, and they just shot people who was already dead like 20 times more. So at this point, when I'm seeing this, we jump to the Jeep, me, Dor, and Gilad, and we started to drive to the exit. As we're approaching to the parking lot, our friend Oad is running towards us. Sorry. And we're picking him up, and he's going with us on the Jeep. So at this point, Gilad and Oad sitting one on each other in the back, because we had no space. We had like the massage beds and chairs and table and gazebo, a lot of stuff. So we had no space. They sat one on each other, and I was sitting in the front, and Dor was driving. So after a couple minutes that we're just going around in circles in the parking lot, trying to figure out what is happening, we see all the cars coming back from all the exits, and we started to ask them, why are you coming back? And people told us the terrorists are coming from here, they're coming from here, they're coming from here, they're coming from here. And we realized we're surrounded and we have no place to drive. At this point, all the people that were not in cars and were just running, they had a lot of snipers that were hiding on the trees and on the hills. So all the people that were not in a vehicle at this point was just shot. People that tried to reach our car so we can pick them up were just getting shot on the way to our car, and we couldn't help them. We couldn't do nothing. So after 10 minutes in this parking lot, we're totally lost, don't know where to go. I'm seeing my boss, Alex Lubanov. He's also a close friend of mine. And I'm just starting to scream at him. He was like 300 meters from us. I'm just screaming at him, Alex, 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 Alex. And he started to run towards our car. And we were sitting one on each other in the front. So Alex is always driving in this area with his 2-year-old son, Tom. Because like it's a nice area, you can go to there with your Jeep. It's like a cool place. And he told us he can navigate us to Kibbutz Be'eri, so we can ask from a family to hide us in their house. So he started to navigate us to Kibbutz Be'eri. We didn't know where to go, but we knew the direction. So we started to go to this direction. And at this point, we're seeing a hill. On this hill, I saw an IDF vehicle. So we decided the best idea is to go to the IDF vehicle because there are soldiers with weapons, they can save us. We approached to this IDF vehicle and we saw it's totally abandoned. It was full of blood. We found a broken M16 inside this IDF vehicle and we found the 4 bullets that were spread on the floor. A few months ago, the IDF was speaking to me, and now I know that the soldiers that were in this Jeep first was murdered and then kidnapped to Gaza. So right near this vehicle, we saw trails of the trucks that Hamas came with to the party area. So we thought the best idea is to go on the same trails that they came with, because they won't come back in the same way that they came, so this is the best idea. So we got on these trails and we were to Gaza direction, to Be'eri and Gaza. And we were driving something like for 10 minutes and we saw a lot of smoke is coming from Be'eri. So we stopped the car and we thought, okay, we need to stop the car and think what to do. So we stopped the car. Oad needed to pee, so he jumped out of the Jeep. And Alex wanted to call his wife Michal, so he also jumped out of the Jeep. Maybe a minute and a half after they jumped out of the Jeep, a group of 8 terrorists in a truck and motorcycle are just jumping on us. So Alex and Oad just ran to hide in the bushes, and we kept driving with the Jeep. They chased us something like for 15 minutes. Dor was zigzagging with the Jeep, it's a field. So he made like a dust screen so they won't see where they're shooting. So after 20 minutes, we lost them. And the first thing I do is to call Alex to ask what is happening. And his first reaction was, oh my God, I can't believe you're alive. I thought you were all dead. I heard your screamings and I heard the way they sprayed you with bullets. So I figured out you're all dead. And he was really whispering to me. And I asked him why he's whispering, and he told me that he's hearing a motorcycle and he hears like terrorists. So I asked him to send us his location so we can come back to pick him up. And he told us, don't come back. I will keep you updated on what is happening, and maybe later when there are not going to be terrorists, you can come back and to pick us up. Alex, and after an hour and a half, something like this, a group of 5 innocent Gazan civilians came to Alex and Oad. They were like 13 years old boy, 14 years old boy, 18 years old boy, and their father, and the 15 years old boy. They came with a big net, because they knew people would hide in the bushes. And they stood three people above Alex. Alex was laying on the ground, and they just put a big net on him and stood above him, 3 people. Oad was sitting, so the second they came, he just stood up. At first, they told them to give them their phones, so they gave them. And really quickly, Oad realized that they are just kids, and they have no weapon, and they are innocent civilians. So he just took his phone out of this kid's hands and just ran as fast as he could. Alex was kidnapped from there. He's already 172 days being held in Gaza. 2 weeks ago, his wife gave birth to their second son. Alex don't know about it. He celebrated his 33rd birthday in Gaza. We don't know if he's alive. The hostages that came back never saw him. We don't have any sign that Alex is alive, so all we have is just praying the whole day that he's alive and someone will care enough to bring him back. I will come back to my story. So after I shut down the call with Alex, I tried a few times to call the police, but at this point, the Hamas took down all the connection in the area, and we couldn't open Google Maps, we couldn't open Waze, we couldn't open nothing, we couldn't even call the police. So at this point, we don't know where we are. Apparently we were really close to Gaza at this point, because till this point Alex was navigating us, and after the terrorists started to chase us, we just started to drive and we didn't know where we located. So we're hearing shootings from everywhere. There are still hundreds, if not thousands, of missiles above our heads, and we don't know what to do. So we just hide with our Jeep in some bushes. It didn't really hide us, but like this is all we had. And those Jeep is really, really old and really, really loud. It's a Pajero Jeep. So we just kept turning it on and off, on and off. So if someone is coming with their truck, so we can hear them, because we didn't hear them for the first time they came because the Jeep was on and he was like really loud. So at this point, I'm starting to look out of the window to see what we can do. And I don't know, there was like a voice in my head that guided me. And I started to look at the birds, because this area is full of trees. And I realized that every time that I hear gunfires, the birds are coming up from the trees in circles because they're afraid of the bullets. So they're basically telling me where the terrorists are coming from. So I started navigate something like for half an hour. And we got caught in another chase of, first it was 4 terrorists that were chasing us. Thank you. So we got caught after half an hour in another situation when 4 terrorists are chasing us. And they were like from a big distance from us. So every time that somebody chased us, they was zigzagging with the car, making a dust screen. And we made like every 2 minutes, like a turn right, turn left to confuse them. And it always worked because we always were driving to Gaza direction. We got caught in 6 times the terrorists were chasing us. And because we were driving to Gaza direction, they didn't really put much effort in chasing us because they knew they were going to the cities. They knew that they're going to the villages, and they, like, every time they chased us for something like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and they just got tired. So after the 6th time, the terrorists are chasing us, but from a big distance, so we could manage to lose them. Oh, I forgot to mention this. In the 4th time that they were chasing us, the connection was back after we had no connection for an hour. So I called the police, and they were with me on the line while the terrorists were chasing us, so I have this all recorded. So the first thing the police officer who answered to me told me is, the army knows about the party, they're coming, just try to get safe, try to hide somewhere. And he was always telling us, you need to go to Be'eri, you need to go to Be'eri, you need to hide in Kibbutz Be'eri. So we tried to go to Be'eri direction all the time. So after the 6th time they chased us, we're coming to a curvy road, and we're making a turn to right, and for the first time, we see a group of 4 terrorists on motorcycles coming from the front. All the other times, they were coming from the back, and it was like a big distance. So Dor's Jeep is very, very old, and it looks very, very bad, because he just like, it's a DIY Jeep. He just like sprayed it, and it's like looks very bad. And he have a massacre necklace. It's like an Arab necklace they put basically on everything, and he put it on his mirror in the front. Because every time he parks his car in Jaffa, he don't want people break into his car. So at first my head was down, and Gilad's head was down too. And Dor just waved like this to the terrorist, and the terrorist looked at him and waved back. So we thought, okay, we're safe. But then he saw my head, I guess, that's what happened. And he started to scream, Idbah al-Yahud, Allahu Akbar, and started to shoot at us. And I screamed or drive, and he just drove on them like this, and they did like a U-turn and started to chase us. And this was the first time they were so close to us, not from a big distance. So one motorcycle is managing to come to Gilad's window, and they shot him in the head. Gilad is still alive, thanks God. And then the terrorist is coming to my window, and he pointing his Kalashnikov to my head. And I don't know why. I just looked at him, and I looked him straight into his evil eyes that I will never forget in my life. And I started to scream at him, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. It's a Jewish prayer, for those who don't know, and usually you say it on someone after he died, so I wanted it to be my last words. And because I was screaming so loud and just like getting mad at the terrorist, he just raised his eyebrows. I will never forget it. He wore a mask, so I could see only this part of his face. He raised his eyebrows like he was confused, and this confusion gave Dor like 2 or 3 more seconds to just react and hit him with the car. So he kicked him with the car. and another one was coming from the back, and they managed to kick him too. And then another one is coming from my side, and he managed to kick him too. And we left on a chase with another motorcycle. He was chasing us something like for 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I'm still speaking with the police on the phone. It's all recorded. So at this point, we're coming back to be close to the 232 road, but we're driving in the fields. The 232 road is on our right side, and we're just driving, and Gilad just don't stop to scream, "They shot me in the head, they shot me in the head." I'm just trying to ask from the police, can you like bring a helicopter or something, or like just help us? And I'm just begging for help the whole time. And the police officer tells us, you have to go to Be'eri, you have to go to Be'eri. And I'm telling him, we're not going to Kibbutz Be'eri. We're going to a hospital. He was just got shot in his head. We can't make any stops. So we're driving now on 232 road. We're driving forward Be'eri. We're coming closer to Kibbutz Alumim, is the next kibbutz after Be'eri. And I see two trucks that are blocking the whole road, and something like 50 or 60 guys, all wearing black, outside of the trucks. But I thought maybe it's the IDF, because like maybe it's a special unit. And I'm asking the police officer that is still on the line with me, can you please check for me if those people are from the IDF or they are terrorists? And he tells me, no, I can't get this information, just get closer. So we got closer, just like a few meters more. At this point, they saw us, and before we even started to realize what is happening, they launched at us an RPG. It exploded just a few centimeters from us. We couldn't hear nothing. The whole Jeep was 4 wheels in the air. Everything was just falling on us. Gilad was sitting in the back. All the beds, all the chairs was just falling on his head, and it was like a really big mess. I will explain now, because everybody is always asking me how Gilad is alive. So Kalashnikov bullets, the second they touch something, they're exploding. And at first it go through the door, and it exploded in the door, so half of the bullet just made a burn in his head and got stuck in his head, like half a bullet, and all the fragments were stuck in his head. So that's how he's still alive. So Gilad was just screaming, and we couldn't hear nothing. We just like heard in echo they are spraying us with bullets as well, because the RPG didn't get to us. And Dor is breaking the wheel, and we're going back to the fields again from the road. And the second we got to the fields again, to the left side, 3 terrorists are jumping from the bushes and started to spray us again. And we are just running with the car to Be'eri direction, coming back. So I'm still on the line with the police, and I'm telling him, okay, we're going to Be'eri, but please just make sure that the gate will be open and an ambulance will wait for us in the entrance. And he telling me, yes, I opened the call, it should be happened. So half a minute before we arriving to Kibbutz Be'eri, the police officer tells me, get into Be'eri only if you see our forces in there. And they told him it's too late. And we were getting closer to the gate. And at this point, I'm seeing that everybody is just shot. I just see dead people. There was one car with a religious guy wearing a kippah on his head. Half his body was outside the car, and all his brain was splashed. And we started to hear a lot of screamings and shouting from Kibbutz Be'eri in Arabic. And we started to hear not a few people, but a lot of people just singing in Arabic in Kibbutz Be'eri. At this point, I'm telling the police officer that Kibbutz Be'eri was probably fully occupied and there is no more Kibbutz Be'eri. And we're realizing that we can't get into it. And I'm seeing just on our right side a little hill and the building on this hill, and we're deciding to go to there. So we're driving with the car to this little hill. And we decided in the car, because I don't have a driving license and I don't know how to drive a car. And Gilad already have a bullet in his head. So the best idea is for me to get out alone, out of the Jeep, to check if there's terrorists in the building, and just like find for us a place to hide. Because if there is, they would shoot me and they would still have a chance to get out of there. So at first, I'm lowering all of my body because I see like a 30 terrorists coming to Be'eri direction from the field, but they're like from a really, really big distance. So I'm lowering my body like this so nobody can see me. I tried to. And there was something like a 10 or 15 doors, and I'm just knocking on every door and I'm screaming, "We're Jews, please let us in. We're Jews, please let us in." And nobody is opening the doors. It was a bicycle shop. We didn't know this in this time because we don't know Be'eri at all. And I decided to surround the building, and I'm coming to a place when I see a lot of tables and chairs outside. And all the doors were locked, but there was one door. It was half plastic and half of grain glass. It had no lock, and the hand was broken. And I'm deciding to try to open this door, and it was open. So I'm running back to the Jeep. I'm calling Dor and Gilad, and they're coming to this. It was a little stinky bathroom. We're coming inside, and we see another door inside this bathroom. Dor is just breaking the door like this with his hand. And it led us to a little small shower and a big closet with towels. So the first thing I do is to take all of the towels out of the closet and spread them on the floor, because there was a lot of glasses that broke from the door, and I didn't want anybody to hear our movements. And then I'm abandoning Gilad's head to try, at least, to stop his bleeding. At this point, Dor is sitting on the floor. He's holding the door like this and putting his head to the side of the wall so they won't see his head from the grain glass. He held the door like this, so if they try to open this, they would think it's locked. And we're starting to speak with each other, and we suddenly hearing a lot of screams and speaking in Arabic really close to us. So me and Gilad, we started to hide behind of the curtain of the shower. And I'm starting to speak with the elite units of the army. My friend that was in Ashkelon connected between us. He was speaking with them, I was speaking with him. And they just told us, okay, we're on our way, stay quiet, we're on our way, stay quiet. 20 minutes after we got to this bathroom, the 60 Hamas members decided they're going to make an improvised base right on this hill, because you could see from this hill, Kibbutz Elumim, you can see the fields, you can see the entrance to Be'eri, and you can see the 232 road. So it was like a really good point for them to sit in. And we just seeing all of them, like their shadows and what they're doing, like going through our grain glass door. So we couldn't even breathe loud. We just tried to be quiet and to wait for the IDF. So it was an hour and another hour and another hour and another hour, and nobody's coming back, and nobody's coming for us. Nobody's coming to save us. At some point, we thought the whole country was occupied, and this is why the army is not coming to us, because I was speaking like to 7 different units. For the first 2 hours that Hamas was outside of our door, we just hear them shooting everybody, launching RPGs on everybody, and they were so happy. You can't even imagine how happy they were to kill innocent people. They were clapping their hands, they were singing, they were screaming, because they were killing innocent people. After the first 2 hours of their just shooting people and being really happy about it, we started to hear them torturing people. We started to hear screams from Be'eri of people who were just begging for their lives, people who were burning alive. There was one person that we heard how they're cutting his body parts just one by one till he's just dying, and it was for hours. I remember of hearing one woman getting raped. I didn't see it, but I could hear how she was begging for them to stop. And then we just heard some shootings, and we couldn't hear her screaming anymore. After 4 hours in this bathroom, I had a really spiritual moment. I'm always like sharing this with people, but I don't think I would do this today. So sorry about it. But I was feeling God's presence with me, and I thought this is my last seconds, because I could really feel God with me. And after I felt it, I started to hear them opening all of the doors that at first I tried to open. They were shooting at the locks, and I knew our door is the next. So at this point, I'm looking behind the curtain, and I see Dor is no more holding the door with his hands. He's just laying on the floor, grabbing his head like this, and just saying, cheat, 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 cheat. And Gilad is looking at me, and he's starting to say goodbye and his last words to me. But because I think we all knew what is going to happen if they were opening the door. They knew they will get shot immediately or being tortured and then shot. But me, I knew if they're going to open the door, they're just going to rape me. And this is the thing I was terrified from. This is the thing that I was most fearing, that somebody is going to rape me before they kill me. We didn't know at this point that they were kidnapping people to Gaza. If we knew, so probably we were afraid of this too. Oh, there's a doggy. So they started just to accept the fact that we're all going to die in a few seconds. And I started to speak again with the army, and I'm asking them, where the fuck are you? They're going to open our door. Our door is the next. They're opening all of the doors right now. And they just told me, stay quiet, we're on the way, just stay quiet, try to hide, try to get in the closet or something. And at this point, I knew they were not coming for us, but I heard tanks that going on the road, and I heard helicopters that were flying above us. So I just started to beg them, please shoot close to our building or shoot our building. You have to distract them immediately. Please, you have to distract them. They can't get to our door. And we said to them, it's totally fine for us if we're going to die from IDF fire. We prefer to die from IDF and not being tortured before we dying. So after 2 minutes of us thinking this is the end, we hearing a 3 massive explosion near our building. The ceiling was a little bit falling on us, not collapsing, but like a little bit falling. All the walls were shaking. We couldn't hear nothing for a few minutes because it was like really, really massive, big explosions. It was like, and we were just sitting and waiting. And after a few minutes, when we started like to hear a little bit properly, we heard them screaming, but not close to our door. They were already in a distance from us. So we knew it worked. We were in this bathroom for 6.5 hours. At some point, the oxygen was totally leaking. We were all feeling dizzy. It was really, really smelly in this bathroom because they always had bottles like right close to our bathroom. So a lot of people were just dead outside of our bathroom and we could smell them. And the bathroom smell was terrible. And because Gilad was bleeding so badly, we had like thousands of insects and flies with us in this bathroom, and we can't do something like this. We were thirsty, it was hot, it was really, really hot. So after 6.5 hours, for the first time, we hearing an IDF language. Someone is speaking an IDF language outside of our bathroom. So we decided this is our chance. Now we need to open the door. Now we need to get out. The IDF is here. So we opened the door and we're seeing 2 soldiers, and that's it. And a guy from Kibbutz Be'eri. His name was Ziv Shilon, זכרונו לברכה. And, sorry. And if I thought that the worst thing is what we've been hearing all these 6.5 hours, like this hours of people screaming, hours of shooting, hours of like women, children, elderly, everybody just begging for their lives, this is the worst thing that I will ever experience in my life, if I will stay alive. When we opened the door, what we saw was, it was a huge mess. It felt like it's a pool of blood. There was like a lots of bodies, terrorist bodies, Israeli citizens' bodies, a lot of RPGs, fragments, a lot of weapons, a lot of things, just like body parts, bodies that they cut in the middle. So these two soldiers and this guy, Ziv Shiron, they started to move all this. They did like a line of all the Israeli bodies in one side, and they took and moved all the terrorist bodies to the other side, and they started to collect all the weapons that were like spread on the floor and stuff and put them in one place. At this point, also 3 Magav soldiers came. They told us that there is 45 hostages in the cafeteria inside Kibbutz Be'eri, and they came to help them, so they can't help us. We started to go over the bodies to see if somebody is still alive, if somebody is breathing. I remember there was like something really black that was just laying on the floor, and I just like kicked it with my leg. And one of the soldiers just grabbed me and he told me, "Don't touch it, it's a burned body." It was looking so bad that I couldn't even recognize it as a body. So we found one guy. He had 20 shots, injuries in his body, but he still had a pulse, and he was still breathing. He was a really, really big guy, so we thought he's going to maybe make it because he was still breathing. We all tried to help him, and he opened his eyes. He told us, "Tell my mother that I love her," and he closed his eyes. But he was still breathing at this point. So, as I said, he was really big guy. So, 3 people just picked him up and they put him in our car in the front seat, because we thought maybe we can still save him. The Magav soldiers told us that the whole road, the 232 road, is still unsafe and is full of terrorists. But in Kibbutz Elomim, there is a little checkpoint of the army that are battling for Kibbutz Elomim, and we need to go to there because it's safer than Kibbutz Be'eri. So we got on the car, me, Dor, Gilad, and the other injured person, and we were back on the 232 road. If I thought that what we saw when we opened the door in Be'eri, this is the worst thing that like happened, so the 232 road was much worse. There was hundreds of cars that were crushed one into each other. Most of them were burned. There were body parts everywhere. The whole road was covered in blood. There's one picture in my head that I think that I will never forget, of a naked woman covered in blood with her legs spread on the floor on the road. And we were just driving, and we had to look out of our windows because they told us there are still terrorists on this whole road. So we had to look. Because they shot a lot of people in the head, so a lot of people, their head was just falling on the wheel. So there was like beep the whole time. It was like really apocalyptic. There was smoke from both sides of the road. We were so shocked that none of us even said one word the whole driving to Alumim. We couldn't speak. Our brain couldn't even realize what are we watching. It was too much for our brain to understand. I couldn't speak for a few days after because I was in shock. So we're approaching to Kibbutz Alumim, and there is something like 15 soldiers in there, and they're all pointing their guns to us. So we're putting our heads outside of the windows, and we started to scream to them, "We're Jews, don't shoot, we're Jews, don't shoot." And as we approached them, we saw a few soldiers' bodies spread on the floor next to them, and a few terrorist bodies lying next to them. And they had only one safe vehicle, and it was full of injured soldiers. So the first thing we do is to give them Gilad and the other injured person, and they immediately drove out of there, and they told us they have no space for me and for Dor. So we have to stay with the soldiers in Kibbutz Alumim, in the entrance. So the soldier first question to me was, "You need water, you need food, you're good, you need a hug?" And he just hugged me for 2 minutes. And this is the first time I actually started to cry, because the whole time I couldn't cry because I wasn't feeling safe enough to cry. And this was the first time I felt safe enough to cry in the soldier hands. They were shocked that we managed to get out of Be'eri after all these hours. We didn't know what is the situation in Israel. Like, we really didn't know. And we stayed with them for another 3.5 hours in Kibbutz Alumim while they're battling terrorists that always surrounding us and shooting us. And I even took a vest from a dead soldier to keep me safe. So there was one soldier who was dead, and we found like a piece of something. We just put it on him to cover him, and we said on him the Shema Yisrael. And after half an hour, while they were still shooting us, me and Dor were hiding behind a really big stone with 2 soldiers. And we found a ring that was left on the floor, and on this ring it said, "Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad." This is like what we prayed the whole time. So for me, it was like a really spiritual things, like we felt like God is really saving us and God is really protecting us. Because when you in the situation when everybody's just trying to kill you, and I'm a 20 years old girl, I never served in the army, I never did something so bad to someone so he would try to kill me. My friends that were murdered in front of my eyes never did something bad to anyone to deserve being killed in a music festival when they just wanted to celebrate their lives. When people call Hamas a resistance, rape is not a resistance. Killing babies is not a resistance. Torturing women and elderly and little kids, it's not a resistance. Kidnapping little children, a 3-month baby, it's not a resistance. It's a pure evil. It's just pure evil and darkness. It's nothing more. So after these 3.5 hours, we got back to drive to Ashkelon. And we were still under a massive rocket attack the whole time. And fragments of a missile hit my house. 6 houses that are circling my house were directly damaged by missiles. I think that's it. And now I will show you a video of photos and videos that me and Shoham took during our escape.
אמא, הכל בסדר איתי. אמא, אני בסדר. אנחנו עצרו את המסיבה, אמא, הכל טוב, אני רק רציתי להקל לך שאני בסדר, אני גם לא לבד, הכל טוב.
וואו, היריות פה.
אני ראיתי את העשן בעצים. אחותי, העשן בעצים.
בואו נתחבא בתוך הבר.
לא, 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 לא.
לא הגיעו לפה.
זה מחבלים, זה יריות המחבלים.
זה אני יודע, אבל לא הגיעו לפה.
אל תצאו משם.
מה יש? לא הבנתי, מה יש בחוץ?
מה מראים בחדשות?
מלא מחבלים ברחובות.
שקד, אחי, אנחנו דלוקים, פה אם אתה מסתכל
למה הוא אמר RPG? לא, באמת יש מחבלים.
של החמאסניקים, RPG, אחי, בתוך הסדרות, ביישובים. ליד העוטף, והכם, אחי.
אשכרה, אחי.
בסדר גמור, הכל טוב, אחי. הכל טוב.
יאללה, כאילו תמם, אחי, אנחנו בשליטה, אנחנו בשליטה.
אמא, אולי כן נשכב על הרצפה? אני לא מאמינה שיורים עלינו. תורידו את הראש למטה.
הלו.
הנה, מפה.
עלה!
תעלה! כנס!
עלה לאוטו!
תפתח לו!
תעלה
לאוטו!
קניון!
סע.
הנה, אחי, זה הג'יפ הזה. איפה?
אלה יורים?
נראה לי, אני לא יודע. איזה ג'יפ? יש לנו? לא, זה לא הג'יפ שלנו. זה לא הג'יפ שלנו. אנחנו עדיף לנו לעוף פה, לנסוע פה בשטח. על השטח רחוק.
הם נראה לי אבל באו מהכיוון של שם.
בוא ניכנס להתחבא בתוך השטח. שלא יראו את השובל שלנו. תרדי למטה. הם שערו פה מאחור. הם שערו בהתקהלות, בדוק. אחי, זה פאקינג מטבח. מה קורה במדינה הזאת?
להישאר?
זריז. אין זמן, אנחנו...
מהר, ממי.
לא.
אלכס, אתה יכול לנהוג אתה?
לא. מים. פעם אחת, בוא נעשה את זה.
על מה? פאק! הם חבורה של אופנוענים! אחרינו! פאק!
שנייה, תשארי איתי על הקו.
שם!
איפה אתם בדיוק? הלו. תקשיבי, תמשיכו לנסוע. אחי, ליד בארי, 3 אנשים בג'יפ.
Without you, my friend, and I'll
Now, if someone has any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming today, guys. It means so much to us, and I have to wipe the tears from my eyes. How do you find the strength to relive this over and over again? Does it make it easier? How do you find the courage to do it every, and all the speaking events that you're doing, knowing that your friend is still being held hostage, and that the war is still raging, and the world is against Israel, it seems? What keeps you going?
Actually, it's really, really hard to do it time after time. But people are still denying the October 7. People are still saying Hamas is a resistance and not a terror organization. So we don't have another choice. We have to relive our trauma every day, again and again, just because of these people who still held our friends in Gaza, and people still denying what happened. So we gotta tell the world our story, no matter how hard it's for us. We're just a little tiny piece of what happened in this day.
So, as I said, at the beginning it was too hard to handle it, and now we found a purpose, and now it's our mission to tell the world our story and what we've been through, and what everyone in Israel is and yeah, it's hard, but we have to.
I was a journalist for many years, so this is why I'll ask most of the questions if nobody else will. So as you told the story and you talked about your friend Dov, I believe was his name,
Alex,
yeah. How did he survive? Like if he was shot in the head and he was driving.
Gilad? You're talking about Gilad?
Yes,
Okay.
because we were just, after you talked about it, we're like, how much blood did he lose? Like, how did you get him to the hospital, and how is he doing?
Okay, so as I explained before about the Kalashnikov bullets, it went at first through the door and exploded there, and then it was burned his head and got stuck. So I guess because maybe we abandoned his head, so it stopped the bleeding. So he wasn't feeling good this moment, but he got better. After 3 weeks, he actually got back to the IDF to serve and to fight. Yes.
And is he still fighting for the IDF right now, or is he?
No.
And do you have friends that are currently fighting in the IDF as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Friends and family.
I had friends that at the same day they got murdered at the bases, and they fought until their last breath. And all of them, I heard all of their stories, and every single one of them died as a hero.
First of all, thank you for coming out. I know it's not easy, and especially in a hostile environment, and thanks to the security and to the Zaltzmans for putting this together. I want to ask you, what made you, in the middle of everything, have the peace of mind or intentions did you do to start videoing it? How were you able to do that? What were your thoughts on it? Could you give me a little background about that?
So,
thank you.
Half of the pictures and the videos that I took, I sent them to my friends in WhatsApp. to share my situation. They told me you have to run, you have to hide. So I just sent them pictures of me hiding under the stage or hiding behind the trees, and I showed them that I have no other place to run because we were surrounded, and the shooting that just were from everywhere. And some of the times I felt like it's the end, so I just took the others because I wanted everyone to see how I died and what I felt at the last seconds.
Were you surprised that you made it out alive?
What?
Were you surprised you made it out alive, or did you think like you're gonna die?
I think it was by 12 that I had no battery. The video that you saw, a guy with a vest. Half hour later, my phone died, and one hour and a half later, I felt kind of tired. So I tried to sleep for 5 minutes, and I tried to relax because all the scared, and I just closed my eyes, and I was too relaxed. And at this moment, I just guessed that I'm gonna die, and I accepted it already. So I was ready. But when the terrorist came with the RPG, so I got powers again, so I started to run.
Have you gone back to the Nova site?
Not yet. But when I will come back to Israel, the first thing I'm gonna do is to go to the site.
Thank you again for coming.
I was actually at the Nova site, and I was taking the videos and the pictures because I was 100% sure we were going to die. So I just wanted my mom to know how I died.
Hi, you guys are very strong. And I was just wondering how you guys met and how you started this whole thing and talking about everything.
So actually we met a few days before the Nova at another party.
October 3rd.
Yeah. But we weren't like friends or something. And a few months ago.
2 months ago. 2. January 29.
So a group of amazing people arranged us, they called actually Israel. They founded a retreat for all the Nova survivors in Cyprus. And we met at the airport, and they asked me, oh, you're going to the retreat? Because I was like, I'm looking like I'm always going to party. So I was like, yeah, take my bags. And he's still carrying my bags.
And a week later, I went to other retreat in California, and I started my journey at the US. And when the retreat finished, she got a suggestion to fly to LA.
To a delegation to speak about my story, and I forced them to take Shoham with me because I missed him. And now he's speaking with me everywhere. And I think it gave us both some purpose to life again. So, yeah.
That's all the questions. I want to answer more.
I have a question. Why did it take the police or the IDF so long to get there? Because we watched the film about it as well. Do you know why it took so long?
Because the terrorists, the first thing that they done is to come to the bases of the IDF that were on the fence, on the border. So they went to, I think, 10 or 12 bases that
Don't say the accurate number. We don't know it's on the accurate number. We don't want to say stuff that are not accurate.
More than 10 bases, I think, that they went there and just killed all the soldiers in this area. So the police, the terrorists haven't came just for the party area. They came to the Sderot, they came to the kibbutzim. So they just entered and went everywhere, thousands of terrorists, and then the Gazan civilians, thousands. So they had a lot of work to do. So.
And also, like, our soldiers were fighting with guns, and they were fighting.
Pistols.
Yeah, and they were fighting with missiles. They just shoot missiles on people and shoot like grenades on people. So they didn't have a chance. They just like blow them all up.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to say two things. The first is I'm not Jewish and I'm not Israeli, but I just want to encourage you guys that there are a lot of people supporting you and standing with Israel. And I just hope that you feel encouraged by it. We personally, we love Israel. We've been there many times as a family. And so, yeah, that's the first thing I want to say. The other thing is I just wonder how they were able to get through the fence, because that fence is so guarded, right? How were they able to breach it? What was the situation in terms of the security at the fence? Do you know, or is that still under investigation?
They just blew it up with a lot of missiles. Yeah, and they shut down
all of the cameras on the fence.
Yeah.
And they just blew up everything they saw.
Yeah.
They had a lot of explosive.
I just want to add to this, because you said, I'm not Jewish and I'm not Israeli and I'm still supporting you. You don't have to be a Jewish or an Israeli to see what is good and what is wrong. Because it's not about the Jewish people and it's not about Israel. It's about the only country in this area that still believe in human rights and still liberal. Because if you look at the other side, all the countries in this area, you don't have any women rights. LGBTQ is not just forbidden, you get murdered for being a part of this community. You don't have the basic human rights in these places, and Israel is the only place you have not just human rights, but you have opportunities and you can achieve goals and you can success. Like, we got a lot of stuff to do. We're not thinking all the day just how we're going to make terror attacks or to bomb people. And on the other side, they're not thinking like us. For years, we thought that we're going to make peace with them, because this is the Israeli people. Israeli people are believing in peace. Israeli people want to success in life. They don't want have no human rights. So I think this is the first thing you need to look at when you're choosing a side between Israel and a terror organization. Israel cares about their citizens. Israel built a lot of shelters. You don't have shelters in Gaza. They don't care about the civilians in Gaza. They're using their civilians as a human shield. They don't care about them. They just care about money. It's not even about land. Okay.
Oh, they offered the civilians $10,000 for every
people they will kidnap. And also, like, if you will Google where is like the leaders of Hamas right now, they're not sitting in Gaza with their civilians. They're not fighting anybody. They're in these big fancy hotels in Qatar. So I don't know, it's probably profit to somebody if their civilians are fighting and they're in some hotels, in fancy hotels in Qatar. So I don't know, it sounds fishy to me.
I got a question.
Time is running short, so we'll make this the last question, all right?
I was just listening to you and thinking, how, from a baby growing up in this environment, the outsiders are telling you, you know, a two-stage solution. This has been going on for years and years. How have you been able to cope with it, as even at a young age? And how has the people there been able to cope with bombs coming, not knowing with the tunnels, you know the tunnels exist, you know the outside evil that's there. How you've been able to manage that or internalize it as a people?
I don't know what to say to you because our life is destroyed forever. My innocence was stolen from me in one bright day. I will never look at anything the same way I looked before because I was so naive to think that these people actually, that I actually can have peace with them. Like, in Israel, we have 2 to 3 million Arab Muslim citizens live in Israel. They are not Hamas. I have a lot of Arab friends, and it's been tough for them the same way it's been tough for me. It's a really rough question to answer. But I think that we are, and Israelis, we are all united because when we see it in real life and not in cameras and on TV and on news, you really know what is good and what is wrong. So none of us is getting confused. None of us is thinking about this tough environment. We're just fighting day by day to still exist. Thank you.
I want to share my screen.
While we're sorting out the audiovisual, I want to say something here. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for
I want to share this.
sharing the complexity of this world and sharing the humanity of this world. We may not agree in our politics. We may not agree in many things, but what these two 20-year-olds taught us today is how to remain human. And I am immensely proud of them for having made it here and immensely grateful and may God protect you forever.
Thank you for having us. So, on the screen you can see our QR code if you want to support us so we can continue the tour. We will be so happy, and cheese.
It's also go for donations to soldiers and to help other survivors with therapy, stuff like this, and yours. So.
And if you want to ask more questions, we will stay in a few
more minutes.
Yeah. So,
Push it.
thank you. Thank you, and have a good night.